In terms of population, Montgomery County is Maryland's largest county. It's had 9 council members since 1990, 5 district members and 4 at-large members. If passed, Question C would increase the number of council districts from 5 to 7 and maintain the 4 at-large seats on the council. So why is this on the ballot? Well, supporters argue the county has outgrown its current number of districts.
Since this county has doubled in size since the last 30 or 40 years, we have not increased our council size. So now the districts are some of the largest in the country, where 225,000 people are in each councilmatic district. This would lower that number to closer to about 150,000, improving constituent service and allowing council members to respond to more people.
So what's the difference between a district council member and an at-large council member? According to Will Jawando, an at-large council member in Montgomery County, a district member represents
specific needs in their geographic area where their district is located. They advocate for those roads and schools and constituents and are directly responsive and often do a lot of the casework.
Whereas an at-large member,
we tend to take a larger view and less parochial view and aren't just concerned about the area where our voters are coming from, because they're coming from the whole county.
Question D is a contrasting plan to Question C when it comes to the structure of the county council. If passed, Question D would eliminate all of the council's at-large seats in favor of 9 single-member districts. So how would that impact you? Well, instead of getting to vote for 5 members of council, 4 at-large and 1 district, you'd only have 1 vote for 1 district member for your specific district. The number of constituents that district member represents would be smaller than it is now.